Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because right now in the short term, we can see a big rejection from this descending trend line right here. After we first got this rejection from this big level of resistance, which is sitting from 71K all the way up to 73K. However, after that, we fell into this previous level of support, which is now flipped into resistance because we did get these 1 hour as well as 4 hour candle closes below this level right here. So now this level of resistance is sitting from 68.5K all the way up to 70,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. But zooming in on this immediate short term here on the 1 hour time frame, you can see that we are actually getting a little bit of a bounce from this ascending level of support. So this is how the trend line is drawn out, in case you want to know. So in terms of support, this is a critical level to watch, where right now that support level is sitting at 67.6K. And in the case that we do trade below that level, then there is some short-term support right here at 67.2K. But if we do trade below that level right there, then likely we will go lower into this big level of support, which is sitting from 66,000 all the way down to 65,000 US dollars. And taking a look at this trend line right here and this big trend line right here, what we can see is that maybe if we get some more price action here, we can actually see this symmetrical triangle starting to form if we get something like this, where we get a couple bounces from this trend line as well, really forming that pattern right here. And then if we do end up getting a breakout, which will likely be either by my next video tomorrow or the video after that. Either way, if we then do get that breakout, then it would set up a price target either to the upside or to the downside. And with those symmetrical triangle patterns, they are not bullish biased and they are also not bearish biased. So they can break out to the upside and to the downside. And therefore, it is very important that we keep track of this pattern over the next couple days. And ultimately, this pattern will break out before Saturday, the 25th, which is already in 2 days. So yeah, I will definitely continue to keep checking in with this if we do see this pattern starting to form. But of course, there is also invalidation for this pattern, because in my opinion, it hasn't really formed yet. It's just something that I'm looking out for over the next couple days to see if it does form. So for example, if you see the price break down right now below that ascending line of support before this pattern has really started shaping, well, in that case, it doesn't really set up a price target. So taking a look at the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin, you can see that the 0.786 Fibonacci level right here at 70.1K was a level of resistance, and we did get rejected from that level as well, which I did talk about in my previous videos. And actually, I just started a trading signals channel inside my Discord server, which you can join for free. There are a couple steps to register, but you can just check that out when you get inside the Discord server. Either way, I called it out in here as well. So if you do want to get access to my real-time thoughts on the market and not just these daily updates on YouTube, then I highly recommend you join the Discord server. You can do so with the first link in the description of this video, and you can join the Discord server completely for free. Now, since we did get that rejection from this Fibonacci level, let's take a look at this level right here, because this is the 0.618 Fibonacci level. And if we do get a little bit further of a pullback here, this is actually a critical level to hold for the Bitcoin price, sitting at 67.2K, because if we do actually trade below that level, especially with daily candle closes, or at least 4 hour candle closes, then that is not a good thing to see. And if we do lose that level of support, then likely we will trade lower. And of course, keep in mind the support levels that are in between that price action right here at this level and actually the 65K level, because I talked about that a little bit earlier in the video. Now taking a look at this descending channel for Bitcoin, when we actually got rejected from the top side of this range. So my recent videos where I said I'm not ready to get like turbo bullish yet, because I did see a lot of crypto YouTubers flip insanely bullish at this point right here, where personally I wanted to stay a bit more reserved and actually see a breakout, retest, and then a resumption, because until that actually happens, we are still simply in this consolidation pattern that Bitcoin has been in for weeks and even months at this point. Now, just because we got rejected here doesn't mean that we need to go back all the way down to the bottom of this range, which is sitting at 57K roughly. It doesn't have to happen like that, but ideally you would see the Bitcoin price hold above this previous low, because otherwise we might be seeing a change in momentum. Now moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map on the 3-day time frame. And in the case that you are not familiar with this chart, don't worry, because all you really need to know is that typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So where there are the most yellow areas on this chart. And what we can see right now is that on this move to the downside here, first of all, right here, we took out a lot of liquidity, over $200 million. And then recently, so over the last day or two, we have been taking out massive amounts of liquidity to the downside, meaning that all these people were longing the Bitcoin price and lost their money on their trade, now making it the case that most of the liquidity is to the upside, sitting at about $72,000 for the Bitcoin price. But zooming out to the 1 week time frame, we see a little bit of a different story, because there is a lot more liquidity to the downside right here, like I have been talking about over the past couple of days or so. So potentially we do need to sweep this liquidity to the downside first, because for example, there is a lot of liquidity at 65.8K. So that is a noteworthy level, because potentially the price gets attracted to this to sweep all of that liquidity. Now moving on to the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today, what we can see is that yesterday we got another massive inflow of about $154 million, with the other ETFs buying a lot of Bitcoin and Grayscale not selling a lot of Bitcoin. And that combined obviously led to a massive inflow. So it is very good to see. And taking a look at this chart, you can see that the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF investors have been selling less and less Bitcoin, and in some cases even being net buyers. So if we do see this trend continue, and especially if we do see the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF investors flip to be net buyers consistently, in that case, it would be very bullish for the Bitcoin price, because we don't get a lot of selling pressure, but do get a lot of buying pressure. And obviously that will push the Bitcoin price much higher. But if we do start seeing Grayscale selling more and more Bitcoin, or potentially even the other Bitcoin ETFs starting to sell more Bitcoin, well, in that case, obviously it will have a negative effect on the price action. So that is something that we must keep tracking every single weekday. So now if you are already trading, or you want to start trading with leverage, then I highly recommend you check out the Blowfin link in the description of this video. I'll also put it down in the comments, because right now until May 28th, you can claim up to a $300 deposit bonus for the first 100 users who register with the link in the description of this video. Personally, I trade on MEXC as well as on Blowfin, so I'll put links to those in the description down below. So if you deposit this week before the 28th, you will get a deposit bonus, depending, of course, on how much you deposited, but up to $300. And that bonus will become available within 2 days after the promotion ends, if you do have your money on the exchange at the time that the promotion ends on the 28th. So especially if you already trade, this is just free money that you can claim and then trade with. So like I said, go check it out. Now, moving on to Ethereum on the daily time frame, where a couple of weeks ago, Ethereum got rejected from the 0.786 Fibonacci level at $4,000, traded all the way to the 0.5 Fibonacci level at 2860, and then got this massive pump to the upside because of the bullish Ethereum ETF news, where today potentially the ETFs will get approved. But right now is actually a critical time for Ethereum, because in the case that the Ethereum ETFs get denied or delayed for whatever reason, in my opinion, personally, I do not think this will be bullish for Ethereum, because everyone right now is expecting that the Ethereum ETF will get approved, and a lot of this has already been priced in, as you can see by this massive move to the upside. So in the case that the Ethereum ETF gets denied or delayed, in that case, you will likely see a bit of a sell-off from everyone who was expecting the Ethereum ETF to be approved. And in the case that we do just keep bumping from here, keep in mind this big level of resistance, because it is a massive level of resistance sitting at $4,000. So even if we get a massive pump to the upside here, I still think that on the lower time frames, you will see some choppy price action here and some very volatile moves on the lower time frames, because it is a big level of resistance. Now, before we get to the immediate short term here with the support and resistance levels, let's take a look at this falling wedge pattern that broke out to the upside exactly as I called, which already hit our first profit target right here. So that is a very good thing to see, and already got pretty close to reaching the second price target, which is sitting at about $4,080 for the price of Ethereum. Now moving on to the support and resistance levels, because there have been some important changes here. So let me zoom in for a second. So right here, you see that Fibonacci level that I talked about earlier. And you also have this big level of resistance from $4,000 all the way up to $4,100. So right now you see this pump to the upside. And then when we got that move to the downside, as you can see with this big wick to the downside as well, we actually found some support in this level right here, because it is a big level of support sitting from 3,800 all the way down to 3,750. But in the case that you do see the Ethereum price trade below that level with confirmed candle closes, then likely the Ethereum price will go to this next level of support below that, which is sitting at 3,650. And then if we do get a sharper pullback than that, so we trade below that 3,650 level, the next big level of support below that is 3,530, all the way down to 3,430 for the price of Ethereum. So those are the key levels to watch for ETH right now. Moving on to Solana, which is looking a lot less bullish than ETH right now, where recently it got close to this 0.786 Fibonacci level, but then did not make it up there. Got a bit of a bounce from the 0.618 Fibonacci level, but has now lost this as a level of support. We do have that 4-hour candle close below the level. So this is very important for Solana that we actually start trading above this level very soon, and it will likely be difficult to break it in the immediate short term. So personally, what I'm looking out for here in terms of confirmation is a daily candle close below that Fibonacci level, which again is sitting at $174 for the price of Solana. If we do close above that level though, then not much has fundamentally changed. We are just ranging between this level and this level. So there isn't really too much going on in that case, but that is just something to look out for in the short term here. Now on this 1 hour time frame for Solana, looking at the support and resistance levels, it is very clear that my call from last video was actually very nice, because I said, take a look at this trend line. And if you see a trend line break, then potentially you will see some bearish momentum very shortly after. And that is exactly what we got. As soon as we lost this level of support, and flipped it into a level of resistance, we immediately traded to the downside into this next big level of support, which is sitting from 171 all the way down to $167 for the price of Solana. And in the case that we do trade below that $167 level, then likely we will go to the next level of support below that. We might get some short-term support right here at $163. However, more likely is actually this $160 level. And personally, I think it is unlikely that we break all the way below that level in the immediate short term before I post my next video. So I'm not going to go any deeper into that. So that is about it for the bearish scenarios though for now. And in the case that you do see the price start trading to the upside from here, then the next big level of resistance is from 176 all the way up to $181 for the price of Solana. And another thing that is noteworthy is actually this trend line right here, because if you see the price trade up to that level, potentially we could get a rejection from there, or in the future flip it into a level of support. And on the really off chance that we just immediately blast through this and push to the upside before I post my next video, which I think is unlikely, but just in case, because the markets have been pretty volatile recently. So this next level of resistance above that is sitting from 187 all the way up to $191 for the price of Solana. So that is that last level of resistance to look out for, because anything above that before I post my next video is extremely unlikely. So I'm not going to talk about it and waste your time. Now, if you are new here and have not joined my Discord server yet, I highly recommend you join my Discord server for free with the first link in the description of this video. I see that Peter right here just posted this as I was recording the video. And you can see with the Blowfin referral as well that I talked about earlier in the video, you actually have these custom cards with the branded Road to 1 Million profile picture. So that is very cool to see. I didn't even know that until earlier today that this was a thing. So either way, go join the Discord server. Currently, there's already, let me see, 517 people inside the Discord server. So it's a pretty cool place to be, very active, and a lot of people who are trading every single day, sharing their analysis. Like, for example, right here, Either way, if you do end up joining or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.